I would like to begin this video with talking about strafing, and more specifically about how to actually combine good gain with the proper strafing width. First of all, it's high time for you to finally learn, if you have not done that by that time, to strafe on a constant speed. If you've reached this lesson, I think it's just the time for you to abandon the same length to strafing technique and start figuring out how to strafe properly even during improv. Again, the quick answer is always the same. Route your maps, preferably long ones. The long answer is a bit different though. If you were following my videos to this point, at first you had to learn to use strafe width as your gain reference point. But it cannot stay like this forever, and even though when I warm up I still kinda use approximate width of my first strafe to recall everything, it is time for you to start focusing not only on your muscles, but only to think about muscles and nothing else. Which is very difficult to accomplish, as it requires a lot of focus, but at the end of the day, it will definitely bear fruit. Right now, your main task is to focus on your forearm and elbow muscles if you're playing arm, or focus on your wrist muscles, again, if you're playing wrist. And as soon as you get out of the zone, only think about moving your part of the arm on a constant speed and not stopping this speed. Nothing else, just that. Try feeling the muscles' tightness, and with the time passing, start relaxing it a bit so that you lower your strafing speed to match the perfect strafing speed. The trick in here is that when you think more about not stopping the mouse while being on a constant speed, rather than transitioning between strafes, it should become much easier to go from one strafe to another, which after practice will make high gains possible on 3 and sometimes even 4 strafes. I know this might sound weird, but that's all I got. This is the feeling that I've gained after thousands of hours of playing, and it's pretty freaking difficult to explain something this vague, you know? But it definitely does help with getting high amount of strafes that you often need in routes. And yeah, routes. This should definitely be practiced on a map that you know like the back of your hand. Might make it easier, trust me. Well, if you did manage to learn to only focus on not stopping to move your mouse on perfect strafe speed, then by this point you have probably developed a skill of automatic strafe transitioning. Again, there is no other way of explaining it, so if you feel like you're not getting it, play and route maps, you'll develop it at some point. But if you still need something more concrete, then there's one exercise I can give you. It's pretty simple. Just stand somewhere where you feel like standing and very slowly for about 20 to 30 minutes start moving your mouse left and right on a constant speed by using all the active space on your mousepad. Try sticking to below medium speed, don't go too fast, though there are a couple of rules to follow here. First, the mouse movement speed must be constant. Second, there should be no pauses in between strafes. And third, try not to accelerate or slow down after a while. After like 20 minutes, increase the speed by a bit, and after 10 minutes, try getting close to the perfect strafe speed for about 300 units if you remember it. One tip to decrease the amount of pauses, try to make microflicks as soon as you start transitioning from one strafe to another, while at the same time, try not to go too fast. Now, let's talk about pre-speeding for a bit. Have you ever asked yourself which side you should be strafing towards first? Maybe when switched from one side to another, you noticed that your gain got a bit higher? I would recommend from time to time to switch sides of your first strafe, as on some maps it can increase your overall strafing time until mouse reset, and subconsciously make strafing feel easier or harder to control. This can make you more conscious about strafing, but overall it's pretty difficult to tell certain pros and cons, so try to experiment, as I only have assumptions. Just remember, even if it helps you to prolong the time until the mouse reset by just a bit, it might already be worth it, as the later you mouse reset the better, as because of the diminishing returns, getting 80 gain is not as efficient at jump 10 as it is at jump 1, so use it wisely. And while we are on the topic of pre-hop and pre-strafe, if you're going for the gain and distance for you is secondary, when you leave the zone, try to align your crosshair with the zone line. This will give you additional length for your first strafe. One last thing about pre-speeding that is only possible on certain surf timers like CK Surf, or on specifically setup timers like Influx, there is a thing called time glitching. And again, it only works on timers where the timer doesn't start when you get off the ground, but when you leave the zone. Time glitching is a technique that is used by bunnyhoppers to complete maps with the same routes, but always getting better times. To time glitch, either pre-hop on the inside of the zone or pre-strafe and jump from the inside of the zone without exceeding the speed limit. When you leave the zone, you should already be in the middle of your jump. Of course, it depends on how soon or late you made your time glitch. The later you leave, the harder it will be to do the same route. But the better your time is going to be in case you manage to do it, as you will spend less time on the map with your timer turned on. Now, let's get back to gain again. Maybe at some point you're going to face a problem that I call 80-60-80, where each number means gain. Your first jump might be 80 gain, but the next one is 60, and then you'll be getting 80 again. So what's the problem here? The answer is pretty simple. You've memorized the perfect strafe speed pretty well, but you have not figured out what the perfect slowdown speed is, and in this case you're slowing down too fast. Try to slow down slower on the jump where you have 60 gain, because if you already got 80 gain, it means you need to strafe much slower than if your first jump was 70 gain, as you have already received the speed that you could have still needed to get if you only had 70 gain. So, to make it clear, I visualized the data that I've collected from 100 TAS-autostrafe jumps and highlighted the speed difference between these jumps. I recommend pausing the video and looking at it if you're interested. So here's the last little thing I wanted to talk about. Strafing is great and all, but sometimes you should keep in mind that the absence of strafing can also be helpful too. In some situations, mostly before the finish lines or when you're flying at a high speed, going in a straight line can actually be better than another strafe. You're not gonna get much speed anyway when you're already in front of the finish line, because again, diminishing returns and all that stuff. And that would be it. I would like to thank everybody who managed to go through all these videos I've made, and I very much hope that all the info that I've collected from my personal experience will help you get better and get as much satisfaction from playing as I get today. So please leave your questions and comments. I'll be glad to help you out. Thank you, and I'll see you in the leaderboards. Also, check out Momentum mod. This game is great.